And cool. Phase one projects, first projects of the whole thing. Working on this for about a week, and I'm really excited to see what y'all got for me. So yeah, it's gonna go, like I said, take like 5 minutes or so. You and your partner, both of you show off what you got, share your screen. We got a mutie. There we go. Share your screen, show off your app, walk through it, talk through it, maybe show off some code, and then folks can ask questions and we'll all clap. So let's kick it off with Cade and Michelle showing us, was it the library search one, or did y'all switched it up, right?
We ended up doing an activity search. I can share screen. Hold on one sec.
Go for it.
But yeah, so we ended up using this API. It's called the board API. And basically it's like lots of different activity objects. So we did like a wheel spinner. So when you open the page, it has just numbers. And when you click it, it'll start to populate the text. Or it should populate the text. Hold on. Hold on, maybe mine's not running. There it is. But yeah, it'll give you a different activity, and then you can click an activity, or you can delete an activity, or you can add multiple activities like this. And you should get 8 different ones every time, because the API has like a million different ones.
Yeah, we also have the ability to, instead of clicking on spin, the user can use their space bar and it'll spin the wheel. You can also delete those activities on the bottom if you're.
Yeah, you can delete one, you could delete both, whatever works. But yeah, it was like a simple fun game, and then every time you refresh, you'll get new activities. So you can kind of button spam if you want to do that, or click all 8, doesn't matter. And then they have different categories. So it's this is the category, how many people are, so those are all the different those are all the different values in the objects. Yeah. I don't know if y'all wanted to look at code, but the wedges populate as individual objects. And then it was just getting them to pull random ones and get them to spin. But yeah, that's about it.
Are you saving any stuff? Like if they choose some activity, are you saving that to a local database or anything, or is that a stretch goal?
Maybe in the future. For now, it's not persisting. So if you refresh the page, it's all gone.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that's cool. If you had like another week to work on this, what do you think you'd add?
We did try to add some styling things, but it broke the wheel, so we had to get rid of them.
I'd add like a form, like a form. So they can upload their own activities.
We'd initially wanted down here for people to be able to input new activities, so they can put like, ride a bike with however many people. So that might be something. And then maybe like pull up lists on the side, kind of like the movie thing that we did the other day.
Nice.
Yeah, I was also thinking like that box on the bottom, instead of like what is everyone else doing, it could be like a to-do list. And once we had the form going, they could add in their own, activities that they want to do, as well as get activities from the wheel to add.
Yeah, you could add filters too for, like participants from like this range to this range, or, like of a specific group size, things like that. But in a week, that was kind of a lot.
Awesome.
How did you guys get the wheel to spin?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Kate, I think you did the wheel spin. So
yeah,
if you wanna...
I retrieved the idea of the wheel spin from like another one that I had seen before, and let's see where it is. I'm not
there's a lot.
Yeah.
The spin itself, I think, also shows up in CSS. Hold on. We'll split screen. But yeah, the wedges are like 8 separate different things. And then there's an actual spin animation. It used to, I think it's loading too fast, but originally the ring, it's a box and a ring over it. So if I inspect and do this, it's like 2 separate things. As opposed to like, it's like a ring and then also like there's a box that shrinks in, but it's loading too fast to see at this point.
If you go up, it's in the,
Yeah, I think it's up here somewhere.
or back in the JS actually is what I meant.
The spin is here. Yeah, the degrees here.
Yeah. So it breaks them up all into the different wedges.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, but we set the rotate function here so it like doesn't keep spinning after a certain amount of time, and then the max is 360 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have any other questions? Awesome. Great job, y'all. Looking good.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's keep it moving along. Armadeep and Kevin with the Tinder for roommates.
All right, everybody can hear me? Okay. So this is our app. I don't know.
I can just go through the README real quick and then
Okay, yeah.
we can go through the code. So hi everyone. So this is our web application Render. And Render is the app that allows users to find roommates. Users are able to upload their own profile and view the profiles of other users interested in finding roommates. And in terms of what a user can do, a user can upload their own profile. They can view the profiles of other people who are interested in finding a roommate. They're able to like the profiles of other users. They're also able to see how many likes other profiles have. And then when you hover over any of the buttons, we created like a mouse over event. And then our stretch goal. So the first time we created this, the cards showed up all at once on the screen. So our stretch goal was to kind of create buttons. So instead of looking at everything at once, where a person is able to only focus on one card at a time. So we were able to achieve that stretch goal that we created. And then yeah, that's it. And then Kevin can talk more about the code if he likes.
Okay, yeah, let's get into the code, guys. All right, so it's pretty like similar to the other stuff that we did, to be honest. But like I guess the unique thing about it is this functionality where you can cycle through the profiles. For this, I didn't use any of like the normal iterators that come with like I didn't use a for each or a filter or any of that. I made this function called move through profiles, where I fetch the entire JSON object, push that into this function, and I have event listeners that are tied to these buttons. And whenever one of them are clicked, we have function like it's called go next is for the next button. If the item is less than the array length, which is the array of the array inside the JSON file, it'll increase that item number, which then gets pushed into a fetch request where you fetch that specific object inside of the JSON file. And then that gets tied to a function called clear container. And what clear container does is it takes that data and then it clears the container for the profile so it doesn't like just keep adding them on the page. Then it renders a profile. The render profile is just where we create our elements and then tie everything to it. So it's pretty cool. Got a few event listeners for like the mouse functionalities here and other things like that too. It's pretty cool. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, what was the hardest part of this for both of you?
I guess this part was like kind of the most difficult thing, kind of. Just moving through the profiles.
Was there a
We
reason
also wanted to
you
get
did
the,
it with
sorry, go ahead.
oh sorry. Is there a reason you chose to do it with a function like that instead of like looping through it, or?
Yeah. I guess it's just the way that I knew how to do it. Like, um, I knew this would work, so I just went with this. It's
Cool.
not a bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah, rule one, it works.
Yeah. True.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say another thing that was really difficult. We were trying to move the previous and the next button like on this like opposite sides of the profile. That was really hard, but we were not able to achieve it. So I'll look into that after.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just a CSS thing, but I don't know what to do.
Awesome. I know that in phase 2 you'll come across something where you have to loop through stuff kind of like this in one of the practice code challenges. So we'll revisit something like that. There's totally easier ways to do that, I think, but this totally works. So that's awesome. Working is good. Cool. Any other questions folks have? Comments? Thoughts? All right. Good stuff. Awesome. Next up is Alex and John with the sneakers.
Okay. Let's see. So, sneakerheads. Like, so the concept is basically just like kind of like a little social media where you upload your sneakers and you can like sneakers, and then the page will just like render the sneakers in order of their likes. So you can see Lone Star Kate's boots get some likes, and it moves her up in the list here. And then like if you get the most, you get this top spot with a crown and your own spot at the top of the page. And then you get sent to the bottom because you got 0 likes, but you can quickly climb the ladder. I mean, that's pretty much it. All of it is persisted into the database, although the likes and the uploads. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything you want to point out in your code?
Right now it's really kind of crazy looking. I've been trying to stabilize the like order. And I kind of talked to you about it yesterday, Mark. I never really got it to work. As you can see here, like whenever it's tied, sometimes it'll switch the order and sometimes it'll keep it the same. So I tried, like, I understand the concept of like turning it into an index, it seems, and then using that index to like sort the equal ones. But the thing is, I'm getting my data from my API, so that's not really the order index that I wanted. So I tried. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think you could probably still do it with the API like that. You just need to whatever order they're in, just match the equal ones in that order. And whether you're doing it by index or like it's going to be alphabetical if they're tied or whatever. It's just
so it's like I'm it's like I'm sorting them by the likes, and then I'm doing an index, and then I have to sort them again.
You're
It's kind
basically
of-
like in your sort function, you can say add an additional bit in the sort function to say like, oh, and if they're equal, go ahead and return whatever.
Yeah.
Depending on.
Yeah, I didn't figure out how to implement that, but it's something that it was working on before we jumped in here.
Yeah, it's a fun little problem. Good interview problem. I think I've never ever heard it there, but cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so something to play with. Yeah, they look nice. Crocs. Cool. Anyone else have any questions or anything else you want to say about this? Sixth Island. All right. Cool. Give it up.
Oh, also you can
Oh,
do
yeah, go
this.
for it. What's that?
Forgot. You
Oh,
can do
nice.
this.
Sorry, did I miss it? What does the smash above the likes do?
Oh,
What is that?
it's okay. It's a like button. It's just
Oh,
like
okay, okay.
smash that like.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Love it. Looks great.
Oh, yeah. So, what would be, like, do you think you would rather add a dislike button next? Or would you rather add like each user can only like it one time and then remove that like?
Hmm.
If you're gonna
Yeah,
add a new
so
piece of functionality.
definitely like one thought is like I don't want someone to, well, the idea of being able to like it 1,000 times doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of fun, I don't know, just because it's not a real website anyway. So you could upload your photo and then put it at the top as soon as it gets there. But I mean, if it were real and you had like a login, you could only like it once. But I mean, it's kind of just to show the functionality to be able to like it a bunch of times and move the pictures around. But I think a dislike button would be sick too. I was thinking they could also have comments, like a patch request for comments.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff you can add there. Cool. Love to see it. Awesome. Let's go ahead and see what we have next up here. And I think we have Grace and Mason with the shopping list builder. If you want to kill your screen share there, should be good.
Hey, Grace, I can share the screen if you want to introduce us. Is Grace here?
Oh, she
Oh,
was.
Grace isn't here.
Oh no. Where'd she go? She dropped.
Oh, I wonder if she thinks that it's noon instead of 11 for us.
Oh.
Well, I can talk about it anyways
Yeah, let me see if I can get a hold of her.
for the time being. Or we could just wait a little bit and go last.
Yeah, let's skip to the next one. Let's get Jaspreet and Joseph's Pokemon app.
Okay, so this is gonna be interesting. So we created a Pokemon app or Pokemon Battle Simulator, or what I want to call it. And so it's basically just Pokemon. Well, I'll show you actually, it's better. So here. So you get to pick three. You guys see what I'm sharing?
Yeah.
By the way, okay, you see the screen. Okay, perfect. Then you pick 3 Pokemons. You get to look at like the stats on the sides, what's up. Pick like, I don't know, get to pick some Pokemon. And then you get to play with those Pokemon against the computer. And he'll do moves. He gets 3 random Pokemons. None of the Pokemons that they get are similar to yours. You can pick like, you can switch Pokemon. That'll count as a move. Or you can fight using a move. So I'm just gonna use a move like Psychic. And he goes first. He missed. And then my second move goes, and I did some damage to him. And it continues until. So I'm gonna use Hypnosis. I'm gonna try to sleep him. And I've coded every single move has an effect, and I've coded it to be identical to how it works in Pokemon. So there's a ton of different effects that I've coded in, and all of the Pokemons have different moves. And yeah, I try to make it as realistic as possible, or as similar to the actual Pokemon game as possible. And the data is fetched from the Poke API. So right when the page loads, I get the relevant Pokemon's data, all of the moves and everything. And yeah, that's about it. And then once you win, it shows that you won and everything.
Yeah, and we are calculating the damage based on a multiplier, and which is based on when you select
Yeah.
the Pokemon, it's based on its abilities. So basically, multiplier is calculated. For example, some attack Pokemon can cause like double damage based on the type of the Pokemon and defending Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
So the multiplier will be like 2 times, or it could be like 0.5. And this info is also like fetched from the API.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how like it's calculating. Yeah.
So yeah, in Pokemon, there's like type advantage. So an fire Pokemon would do double damage versus an ice Pokemon, for example, and stuff like that. So we fetch all of those like type advantages as well, and multiply it as well. And there's a lot of code. I think there's around like 1,500 lines of code to do all of this. So I've been at it for the last couple of days. And then we have all of the moves. And I haven't hard coded all moves. I will only like hard coded like the effects of the moves, because you can't really get the effects from the API, because there's a limitation, and it's really hard to implement the effects with the effects you get from the API. So I'm kind of forced to hard code if a move has an effect, and most moves do have effects. So yeah, and then all of the display functions.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Folks have questions.
Yeah, how did you decide whether or not a move was gonna hit or miss? Is there just like a random number that's generated, and then how did you do that?
So every move has an accuracy value, or okay, not every move has an accuracy value. Moves that target other Pokemons or has a effect. Okay, I check first if it has an accuracy value. So moves without accuracy values always hit. But if a move doesn't have an accuracy value, or it does have an accuracy value that's less than 100%, then I just do a comparison. I generate a random number and check if that number is bigger or larger than the accuracy value. So use the math.random function and set that to and see which one is bigger to see. And also, it's another interesting thing here. You see how like everything is like slowed down, and I'm using a move. I'm not clicking anything; it just takes time. So I had to put in awaits. I had to make it a little bit asynchronous and put in awaits so we can allow time, because otherwise it just goes fast. Like JavaScript calculates all of this instantly, and I have to purposely slow down the program so the text can show and you have time to read it. And he one-shot my Pokemon. That's kind of rude. So yeah. And there's a ton of other stuff as well.
Nice, looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or anything else you want to say about it? All right, looking good. Awesome. Next up is Ryan and Bo with their identity generator.
Gonna be hard to follow that one up, but we'll do our best. So, all right, Bo, you kind of want to explain what our app does?
Yeah, this is identity generator. Kind of came up with the idea. Well, we found an API that generates a random user. It gives all kinds of randomly generated information like name, number, email address, password, just a bunch of different stuff pertaining to user details. Yeah, there you go. So the idea was that you know, if you want to sign up for a web service and don't want to give companies your information, you can generate an identity here and use that to create a dummy account, basically. So
Yep. So we have some buttons here, and they each are styled with some CSS and changed to pointers. And we have it so that it runs the search 4 times, and they all show up on the page at the same time. And we decided to prepend it instead of append it, so that the user can see the new cards being created in front of them, rather than just making the web page a little bit longer. We have exit buttons. Another cool thing is we're able to clear all of them. Yeah, we put a mouse over event and a mouse out event so that you're able to change the name. So, but if you're in the middle, you can just go like that. Yeah. Bo, you wanna go over the seed stuff?
yeah, and then you can also generate a seed at the bottom. You can take that seed, enter it in the search box, and if you look down at the bottom, I think is it down at the bottom?
Huh, it's right here, the new one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, then that guy with the exact same seed pops up. You know, in case you wanted to, in case you found a profile that you liked, you can take that seed for later and just generate it anytime you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all the functionality of our thing. And here's the code. We each kind of had some of our own issues that we decided to take on. And Bo's issue was the promise.all, and mine was the edit button. And we each really struggled. Well, not really struggled, but we each definitely struggled a little bit getting some functionality there. But
No, I could talk about the promise.all a little bit. It was an easy promise.all ended up being a pretty easy fix. I just wasn't familiar with any of it. I guess, sorry, my music just started playing out of nowhere. Yeah, and the reason that we wanted to do a promise.all is because how we get the user information, we could theoretically generate up to 500 cards or 5,000 cards at a time. The problem is that we only get one seed per however many objects that we load. So we have to generate one user at a time. So I could have just kind of made that synchronous and just kind of, you know, filled the page one after another. I thought that kind of looked really bad. So instead I went ahead and did promise.all, and then those populate all at the same time. So I was really happy with figuring that out.
and then for me, the edit button, I ran into a weird issue where, so I appended the form that I made right here. I appended this form to the edit button, and the edit button would get really big. And I thought it looked okay, but every time you hit space, it would log as a click event. And so it would recreate the form every time you hit space. So we ended up just appending it to the like the email to each individual piece of information. And then after you hover over, everything deletes. So yeah.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah. Questions? That looks really good. I have a question on the promise all thing, how you did the variables there. How would you change that if you wanted to load like 50 instead of 4 of them, or have the user select how many to load? How go there?
If the user were to select how many to load, yeah, I guess there would have to be like an input field that the user would have to decide how many of them, and yeah, I don't know. I'd have to
We
think
we
about
could
that
have
one.
a
If
we
I
could
was
have a
just gonna,
function that creates these for every single time,
yeah,
like every single time
yeah.
they
I mean,
want it, and then it
if I
could
was
be
just gonna
inputted
hard,
here, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I guess my
Yeah.
question was, instead of using fetch 1, fetch 2, fetch 3, fetch 4,
Uh,
if you don't know how many are going to be fetched, that's something to think about. But yeah, you promise that all is super sweet use for that.
was there like a comma? Could you do comma
I would probably build an
and an
array
amount of
and
times?
then just pass the
Oh,
array
okay,
in.
okay.
But yeah, there's lots of ways to do it, or like use a map. Yeah, it's JavaScript. There's so many ways to do it,
Mhm.
but it works. So that's the important part. Awesome, good stuff. Love it. Really good work in there. And yeah, let's come back around and finish up with Grace and Mason. We got a shopping list builder. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen. Grace, could you just like introduce this and why we wanted to do it?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that it has been a big thing for me. I have some autoimmune disorders, and eating certain foods can trigger really bad flare-ups. If I have processed sugar, it'll make it so I have trouble walking and turning my head, which that is in a lot of things when you go out to eat. So I have to cook a lot at home. So I end up spending a lot of my time making foods. And so I spent a lot of time planning. So I wanted to build something to make it a little bit easier to do that. So we started building a grocery list helper where you can input recipes. There's a form at the bottom where you can input a recipe and up to 10 ingredients. And then it'll post those to our database, and then they'll be displayed in those cards. And then I also did functionality on the form so that if any of those are blank and receive empty strings, then they won't be included in the new object that is being posted or displayed. So opted for that. We were thinking about doing a couple different directions with it, but ended up going with that as what seemed like the best way to do it with the time that we had at this time. And then when we click on the recipes, it'll display the details about them, the ingredients and the instructions. So you can just pull that up if you're actually wanting to use this when you're making things. And then also to make it easier, if you know kind of what you're gonna want to make, can click the add ingredients button, and then that will be added to your shopping list. And then you can go through and do that. And Mason did some awesome work with getting everything to add. So if there's multiple of the same things, it'll just increase the quantity of that rather than adding duplicate items. So you don't have to scan through the list and do a lot of calculation yourself. It does it. There's also a scrolling feature on that. So the window doesn't get bigger, but you can still look through and see all of the things that you would want to get. And then for now, we did it so that you can input your email address and I'll email that to you because they don't persist. They weren't appended. And you can also remove items too. There are those delete buttons. And so if there's only a few things that you need from a recipe, you know, you don't have to be stuck with everything. You can just select the items that you need. And then, yeah, email that to yourself so you have it elsewhere when you're out and about shopping. So obviously you don't lose the things that you were wanting to get.
Is my mic still on? Can you guys hear me? I can't
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that this email function doesn't work yet. That's like kind of a stretch goal for me to figure out, because you either have to use like a mail API. Like I couldn't get this to work with just a mail too. So you either have to use some other API to send an email, or you have to get these to persist somehow. But then like if a bunch of people were using this, they would all be kind of sharing the same list. So that would be interesting. I think for now, like the best thing to do would just be like to take a screenshot and then you have all your stuff.
Yeah, the single user thing is every phase 1 and usually phase 2 project is like, we don't know how to do users yet. So
Yeah.
Yeah, totally cool. That's how everyone works it. So this looks amazing. I love this. This is a lot of good stuff going on here.
Thanks.
Cool. If you had like another week to work on it, same question. What would you add there?
Well, we would make this functional. I also said originally that we were going to have a search bar so that you could search for like spicy or like Italian or something like that, and it would just turn up the recipes that have those terms. Yeah, I'd probably just like put more recipes in here. And yeah, what about you, Grace?
Yeah, I'd want to make the shopping list persist. Go through and do that. And then also the saved recipes, there's a part where if you add so many, it gets a little wonky on the page. So I'd want to make that work better on the page with some horizontal scrolling, which it wasn't as easy to do as the vertical scrolling in the other div. So I'd want to get that figured out. And then also potentially with the ingredients, rather than just having it limited to 10, I would like to have it where it can have maybe like 5 or so posted there in the form, but then a button where you can add extra fields to add ingredients. But that starts getting somewhat complicated. So that would definitely be an addition thing I think would be fun to do in future, but it was going to be a lot for this.
Yeah.
Nice. Any other questions from anyone? All right, looking good. Give it up. Yeah, and that is all our phase 1 projects. You did it, everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause. Cool. Yeah, these all look super great. As I expected. Cool. I'm gonna stop the recording here and then we'll talk about stuff. So bye anyone in the future who's watching.